Recently in Milton, Ontario, a young man was charged with second-degree murder. His crime? Defending himself and his mother from home invaders and using a firearm to do so. So I thought this is a good time to do a review of Canada's self-defense law. Hello, my name is Nicholas Wansbutter. I'm a lawyer in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to Don't Talk TV. So as I indicated in the preamble, there's a case that made some headlines recently out of Milton, Ontario, where a young man is charged with second-degree murder. So we'll take a quick look at a news article on that case. We'll do a quick review of Canada's self-defense law, and it'll just be a review. I highly recommend that you watch two of my least viewed episodes of all time, episodes 18 and 19, where I do a very detailed analysis of Canada's self-defense law. But in the meantime, we'll do a review, and then I'll give some thoughts about Canada's self-defense law, how it works, my view that it actually works most of the time, but also my view that I would like to see some changes. So to start with, just to give us some context, we have this CBC article from February 21st titled, "Milton Man 22 charged with murder, defended himself against home invasion, lawyer says." It says that Ali Mian made first court appearance Tuesday after one man was killed in weekend shooting. So the limited information we have at this point comes from his lawyer Jag Verk, who said, "It was a home invasion. Intruders in his house, armed, dangerous, and he protected himself and his mother." CBC says that the shooting happened in a home on Gibson Crescent near Ontario Street South and St. Louis Laurent Avenue in Milton around 5 a.m. on Sunday, according to Halton Regional Police Service. And Mr. Verk went on to say that Mian is a registered firearm owner and used his gun legally against an armed intruder. He shouldn't be charged with murder for protecting his mother from someone that broke into his home. His intention was not to kill the intruder, he only shot at him once. We are all saddened that the intruder passed away as a result of being shot. Now, interestingly, later in the article, they quote a witness who said he heard 4 or 5 shots. Be interesting to see what the evidence is. Did Mr. Mian actually fire multiple times? Was he returning fire to people who were armed with firearms that were shooting at him? And why was he charged? Well, we can talk a bit in a moment about why he was charged, but let's take a quick look at Canada's self-defense law. And again, I can't reiterate this enough. It's very disappointing to me, actually, that very few people have watched the self-defense videos, episodes 18 and 19, because I think they're extremely important, and they will become more and more important as crime increases, if the economy continues to go in the direction that it is going, if society continues to go in the direction it's going, lacking in cohesion, leads to more crime, leads to tribalism. I think that situations like this could start happening more. They never ever happened in the 1980s when I was growing up in Canada. They're happening now. So I think it's extremely important for all viewers to watch those episodes, educate yourselves on what you can and can't do, and share those videos with your friends and family. So Canada's self-defense law comes from section 34 of the Criminal Code. So it says that a person is not guilty of an offense if A, they believe on reasonable grounds that force is being used against them or another person, B, that the act that they did that constitutes the offense is committed for the purpose of protecting themselves or another person, and C, the act committed is reasonable in the circumstances. So you've got a 3-part test. 1, you have to reasonably believe that you're under attack. 2, the actions you take have to be for the purpose of defending yourself or another, not for the purpose of revenge, for example. And thirdly, that use of force has to be reasonable. Now, for the most part, the law works in Canada. In episode 19, I cover a number of cases, including the Gerald Stanley case, who was acquitted, including the case of Mr. Kill, was another Hamilton area case, acquitted. We talked about the Maurice Edouard case from Alberta. He wasn't acquitted, his charges were ultimately dropped. But looking through the case law, the majority of the time, homeowners are acquitted. And in the case of Mr. Stanley and Mr. Kill, they weren't even defending themselves within their homes. They actually exited their homes to confront people who were doing things on their property, and they were still acquitted. So the problem isn't necessarily the law as written, although as I alluded to earlier, I would like to see some changes. But the real problem, in my view, comes from the fact that police lay these charges. Now, I can't really answer for why the police lay those charges. I'm not a police officer, I never have been. Is it orders from on high? Is it what they perceive the societal desires to be? It's hard to say. It also, I think, depends a lot on the police service. In my experience, some police services are dead set against any civilians owning firearms, so they will be very quick to lay charges because they're just philosophically opposed to the very idea of law-abiding citizens owning firearms. Other police forces seem to be much more open. For example, my experience with the Ontario Provincial Police, at least in the areas I practice, is that they're very open to law-abiding citizens owning firearms. Now, but again, that goes to a recurring theme that comes up on this channel, is that culture is always the real battlefield, not the law courts. And this is another example of that. And I think it's a problem of an overall anti-gun culture in Canada, an anti-self-defense culture in Canada. And that brings me to what I would like to see changed in the law. In my view, Canada needs what exists in many states in the US, a castle doctrine or something along those lines, where essentially if someone invades your home, you can do whatever it takes to defend yourself. In my view, I wouldn't even have any requirement that you're defending yourself. If someone enters your home, if they break into your home and you end up killing them, to me, it's better for society that just be, look, they broke into your home, end of story, we're not even looking into it. That outweighs the danger of innocent people, like we see in cases like this, being charged, and really, if they're acquitted at the end of the day, they're still punished by the process of having to pay a lawyer, having to take time off work, all the stress, and they probably get harassed by anti-firearms advocates. So that, I think Canada really needs that, and an entrenched right to self-defense. You'll note the way Section 34 is written, it's a defense to an offense. You don't actually have a right to defend yourself, but it's an available defense, and you have to convince a judge or jury that you meet the test of that defense. So I'd like to see those changes. For those changes to ever occur, there have to be massive changes to Canadian culture. And that's something that will take many, many years. But again, as the law as written currently is actually not that bad and generally works to protect homeowners. The problem is police charging people in the first place, when in my view, they shouldn't be. But so on today's episode, we've looked a bit at this case from Milton where there was a shooting in self-defense in response to a home invasion. We've done a quick recap of Section 34 of the Criminal Code, and we've talked a little bit about what I would like to see happen with self-defense law in Canada. Feel free to leave some comments in the comment section if you have some thoughts of your own on these items. And as always, this video is not legal advice. If you need legal advice, call a lawyer. My website and phone number are listed below, or you can call another lawyer. Always open to suggestions, so you can send an email to the email address listed below or leave a comment in the comment section requesting a show topic. And if you found this video at all interesting, helpful, or informative, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and following us on social media.